Most people believe their life is shaped by big decisions. They are wrong. Meaned. Your life is shaped by what you do before the world starts speaking to you, before messages arrive. Before demands are placed on you, before noise enters your mind. The first moments of your morning are not small. They are the foundation of your identity. If you give those moments away, you give away your direction. If you protect them, you protect your power. This is why the disciplined do not rush into the day. They rise into it. When you rise before the world claims you, you are not chasing productivity. You're training sovereign. Once you are making a statement, not to others, but to yourself, that your life is not owned by urgency, by distraction, by other people's priorities. Man's you wake up before the world. Because you refuse wake up before the world, because you refuse to let the world wake you up emotionally. Most people open their eyes and immediately open their mind to other people's agendas, notifications, messages, problems, opinions. Their nervous system is hijacked before they have even chosen who they want to be that day. Gender and this is not living, this is reacting. Ben to rise before the world claims you is to reclaim authorship of your life. In the early morning, the air is different, the mind is quieter, the body is more honest. Okay? There is less resistance, less performance, less pretending. This is not coincidence. This is opportunity. Bend in silence. You are forced to face yourself without distraction. You cannot hide behind noise. You cannot delay your responsibility. This is why early rising is uncomfortable for many, not because of sleep, but because it removes escape. Palmed. When you wake early, there is no audience, no validation, no external stimulation to lean on. Bond. There is only you and your discipline. And this is where real strength is built. Ambience. You begin to notice something important. Your mind will try to negotiate. Sleep a little longer. Start tomorrow. Just this once. These are not innocent thoughts. These are tests of authority. Every time you obey them, you teach your mind that comfort is in charge. Every time you rise anyway, you teach your mind that you are in charge. This is not about being extreme. This is about being clear. Clear that your future will not be built by convenience. Clear that your identity will not be shaped by impulses. Wamdan. When you rise early, you create space before life compresses you. Space to breathe before pressure. Space to think before reaction. Space to choose before habit. This space is where discipline grows quietly. Abeend. No one sees it. No one applauds it. But it changes how you walk into the world. Meandus, you carry a different posture, a different calm, a different authority. Gens. Because you have already won a battle before anyone else has woken up. And that victory is not over sleep. It is over the version of you that wants to delay responsibility. Bants. Each early morning is a reminder. I do not belong to my moods. I do not belong to my cravings. I do not belong to urgency. I belong to my direction. This is why the morning is not about time. It is about identity. The person who rises deliberately is training to become a person who acts deliberately. And over time, this discipline does something powerful. You stop feeling like life is happening to you. You start feeling like you are stepping into life on your terms, quietly, without force, without announcement. Gender. This is how your mornings transform. And when your mornings transform, your life follows, not because of motivation, but because of command. If you rise before the world claims you, the world no longer decides who you are that day. And you already have. And now, with that authority established, you do not rush forward. You do not immediately seek stimulation. Okay? You do not fill the space you just created with noise. You sit, not because it feels comfortable, but because it is necessary. Most people are afraid of silence. Not because silence is empty, but because silence is honest. Tremendous. When you sit in silence, there's no distraction to hide behind, no story to scroll, no voice to drown out your own. What remains is the raw movement of your mind. Thoughts will rise. Impulses will appear. Restlessness will speak. This is not a problem. This is the training. To sit in silence is not to make the mind quiet. It is to see the mind clearly. But most people believe their thoughts are who they are. They believe every thought deserves attention. They believe every emotion requires action. This is why they feel controlled. But in silence, you begin to notice something important. Thoughts arise on their own. They come without permission. They leave without explanation. You begin to see that you are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. This realization is not philosophical. It is practical power. Gens, because the one who can observe a thought does not have to obey it. Bend, in the morning, your mind is especially suggestible. It is like soft clay. Benjust, whatever patterns you allow here will harden throughout the day. Demanda, if you begin your day in reaction, your mind learns to stay reactive. Hamanis, if you begin your day in stillness, your mind learns to stay centered. This is why silence in the morning is not a luxury. It is a form of leadership. Mans, you are teaching your nervous system that urgency is not the default, that panic is not the baseline, that stillness is available. When you sit, discomfort will come. Your body will want to move. Your mind will want to escape. This is where most people quit. And this is exactly where discipline begins. Mend, because the urge to escape is the same urge that controls your habits, your reactions, your addictions to distraction. Pumbians, when you stay seated, you are not just training meditation, you are training restraint. Amienda, you are telling your nervous system, I can feel discomfort and not run. I can feel restlessness and not obey. I can feel boredom and remain. This builds something deeper than calm. It builds authority. Ambland, most people think discipline is about forcing action, but true discipline begins with non-reaction. Lamd, the ability to not immediately respond to every internal impulse, is the foundation of self-mastery. Mongyand one being di mihinger in silence. In silence, you practice this. AA thought says, check your phone, you notice it, you do not move. Jemia thought says, this is a waste of time, you notice it, you remain. A feeling says, I am uncomfortable. You notice it, you breathe. Mondis, each time you do this, you weaken the automatic patterns that have been controlling you for years. Mian, this is why silence feels threatening to the undisciplined mind, because silence exposes how little control it truly has. Paulens, but for the disciplined, silence becomes a throne. Menja, place where you sit as the observer, not the servant of your thoughts. Over time, something shifts. Man, you begin to notice space between stimulus and response, a pause. In that pause, you regain choice. Man, this pause is what allows you to speak instead of react, to choose instead of impulsively act, to remain grounded instead of emotionally hijacked. Then your entire life improves, not because problems disappear, right? But because you no longer become them. In the morning, this is especially powerful. Tonst, because the way you train your mind at dawn becomes the way your mind operates at noon and the way you handle pressure at night. Main silence in the morning teaches your mind how to behave under stress. You are rehearsing calm. Before chaos arrives. Abenja, this is why 5 minutes of real silence is more powerful than hours of scattered productivity, because clarity multiplies effort and confusion wastes it. As you sit, you may notice resistance, old memories, anxieties, plans, regrets. Do not fight them. Kelsimisek, do not follow them. Let them pass like clouds. Armenians. Each time you choose observation over identification, you reclaim a piece of your sovereignty. You stop being a slave to internal weather. You become the sky. This is not poetic. This is functional. Mandy, a person who can remain still internally, is not easily manipulated externally. Mandy, a person who can sit with their own mind, is not desperate for distraction. Bambri, a person who is not desperate, is not easily controlled. Banda, this is why silence is dangerous to a world built on distraction, because silence creates independent thinkers, calm responders, emotionally regulated humans. In the quiet morning, you are not escaping life. You are training for it. Commands you are sharpening your attention, strengthening your restraint, stabilizing your nervous system, and slowly, without drama, your inner posture changes. On Baines, you walk differently, you listen differently, you respond differently, not the other way around. And once the mind has been steadied, once the inner noise has been observed and no longer obeyed, it is time to bring life into the body. Because discipline is not only mental. A calm mind in a weak, neglected body will still struggle to carry strength into the world. Tamjers, the body is the vehicle of your will. If the body is sluggish, the will feels heavy. If the body is awakened, the will finds momentum. This is why movement in the morning is not about appearance. It is about ignition. You are not exercising to impress. You are moving to activate. And even small, deliberate movement changes your internal chemistry. It tells your nervous system, the day has begun. Energy is required. Presence is necessary. When you stretch, you are not only loosening muscles, you are releasing stored resistance. Due tension is not just physical. It is emotional memory in the tissues, old stress, old pressure, old holding. Mania. As you move, you teach your body that it is safe to release. And when the body releases, the mind follows, breath deepens, circulation increases, awareness sharpens. Gene, this is how inner fire is awakened, not through aggression, but through deliberate activation. A few minutes of controlled movement can shift your entire internal state. You go from passive to engaged, from heavy to alert, from hesitant to ready. This is not coincidence. The body and mind are not separate systems. They are one conversation. If you neglect the body, the mind will carry that burden. If you honor the body, the mind receives support. When you move with intention, you are practicing command through action. It means you are telling yourself, I do not wait for motivation. I create readiness. This is an identity shift. Most people wait until they feel energetic to move. The disciplined move in order to feel energetic. Tangent. This is how control is built. Simple movements, controlled breathing, balance, tension, and release. These are not just physical drills. They are lessons in self-direction. When your muscles burn slightly, you learn to stay present under discomfort. When your breath depends. You learn to regulate stress. When your balance is challenged, you train focus. And lenges, all of this carries forward into how you handle pressure later in the day. Your body becomes a teacher. It teaches you that discomfort is survivable, that effort creates clarity, that energy follows action. This is inner fire. Not rage, not force, not adrenaline, but a steady, usable energy that supports your discipline instead of exhausting it. In the quiet of the morning, your movement does not need to be loud. It needs to be consistent. Lemdats. The purpose is not exhaustion. The purpose is activation, to feel your spine, to feel your breath, to feel your muscles wake, so that when you step into the world, you do not feel like you are dragging yourself forward. You feel like you are stepping forward with intention. Over time, this changes how you carry yourself. Your posture improves. Your breathing becomes calmer. Your reactions become steadier, because a body that is used daily becomes an ally. And when your body is your ally, your discipline becomes easier to sustain. Ginger. This is how the morning trains your energy, not through extremes, not through punishment, but through daily activation. And you wake the body supports the mind supports your direction. Right. This is how inner fire is awakened quietly, not so you burn out, but so you burn steady, Bandri, so that your mornings do not just start your day. They prepare your strength to carry you through it, not to carry you through it. All right? And now with your mind steadied and your body awakened, all right, there is one more silent battle that must be won, for the world is allowed inside you. Bends the battle for your attention, because attention is not neutral. Whatever you give it to begins to shape your internal state. Temjins. Most people allow the world to enter their mind before they have chosen their direction, news, messages, kunks, other people's urgency, other people's emotions, other people's opinions. They call this being informed, but what they are really doing is allowing their nervous system to be programmed by external noise. Manja. This is why so many people feel anxious before they have even left their home. They did not wake up anxious. They imported anxiety. To eliminate noise before it enters you is not to disconnect from reality. It is to choose the order of influence. But if the first voices you hear are not your own, you will spend the day reacting to someone else's priorities. The morning is the only time where you can still choose the tone. Before the world demands one from you, not to speak before your own, and now everything comes down to something very small, but something very powerful. One promise. And not a dramatic transformation, not a perfect routine, not a long list of goals. Bonds one small victory that you commit to every single morning, because identity is not built by what you plan. It is built by what you repeatedly keep. Most people break trust with themselves daily. They say they will do something, and then they don't. Over time, the mind learns a dangerous lesson. My words do not mean much. This weakens self-respect. Not emotionally, structurally, to commit to one small victory daily is to rebuild trust with yourself. Amenders, it might be 5 minutes of silence, 10 push-ups, a short walk, writing one clear intention. Chimvis, the size does not matter, the consistency does. Bains, every time you keep that promise, you are not just completing a task. You are reinforcing an identity. I am someone who does what I say. This changes how you see yourself. And how you see yourself changes what you believe is possible. Small wins remove the need for motivation. They create momentum. You stop negotiating with your discipline, because discipline becomes familiar, not heroic, not dramatic, reliable. John, this is how quiet strength is built. No one sees your small victories, but they stack. And one day you realize you trust yourself more, you hesitate less, you follow through faster. And bend it. Because your nervous system has learned action is normal here. This is how mornings transform your life, not through intensity, but through integrity, through keeping one small promise, even when no one is watching. Mandra. This is how the discipline becomes stable, how the stable becomes strong, how the strong become calm. Train quietly. Move deliberately. Protect your mornings. Keep your word to yourself. And as you do, may your days become clearer. Your mind becomes steadier. Your body becomes stronger. And your life become more aligned with the person you are choosing to become. I wish you strength in your discipline, clarity in your direction, and peace in your progress.